Okay, so when you think of Tom Sawyer, what comes to mind? Probably that kid tricking his friends into whitewashing a fence, right? Or maybe playing pirates on an island. But Mark Twain's classic is so much more than just a bunch of adventures. We're going to dive into the really deep, timeless lessons about human nature that he hid inside these famous stories. And look, Twain tells us his whole game plan right from the very beginning. I mean, you can see it in his own words right here. This book, it's not just for kids. He actually wrote it as a kind of mirror for adults, a way for us to reconnect with what it was like to be young. And maybe, just maybe, remember something really important we've forgotten along the way.
See, Twain wasn't just trying to write some exciting adventure story. He straight up calls his book a history of a boy. It's like he was doing this deep dive, almost like a scientist, studying what it means to be a kid, to uncover these fundamental truths about freedom and society and doing the right thing. Truths that honestly apply to every single one of us, no matter how old we are.
All right, so let's jump into probably the most famous scene in the whole book. We all remember it as this funny story about a super clever kid, right? But what Twain is really doing here is laying out this powerful law of human psychology, one that explains a ton about what drives us, even today. So the scene is just bleak. It's this perfect Saturday morning, all the other boys are out having a blast, and poor Tom is stuck facing this massive fence. We're talking 30 yards long, 9 feet high. Twain literally says life to him seemed hollow, and existence but a burden. I mean, classic case of a chore you absolutely dread. But then, Tom has this stroke of pure genius. He doesn't moan or complain, nope. Instead, he completely flips the script with some brilliant psychological jujitsu. First, he reframes the whole thing. He pretends whitewashing isn't work at all, but this rare artistic privilege. He's like, does a boy get a chance to whitewash a fence every day? Then, step 2, he manufactures scarcity, claiming Aunt Polly is so picky that maybe only one boy in 1,000 could do it right. And finally, he reluctantly lets the other boys pay him with apples, kites, even a dead rat, for the privilege of doing his work for him. And bam, this is it. This is the great law of human action that Tom stumbled upon. It's not about what you're doing, it's about whether you have to do it. Twain basically breaks it down like this. Work is whatever you're obliged to do. Play is whatever you are not obliged to do. It's why, as he points out, a rich guy might pay a fortune just for the fun of driving a stagecoach for a bit, but if you tried to pay him a salary to do it, it instantly becomes work and he'd be out of there. I mean, this really makes you think, doesn't it? Think about it. From limited edition sneakers to those exclusive clubs or invite-only apps, this whitewash principle is literally everywhere. We are constantly being sold on wanting things, not because of the thing itself, but just because it's been made to seem scarce or exclusive or really hard to get. So this idea about what we desire leads right into another huge theme that pretty much defines Tom's world. It's this constant battle, this tug of war between the tight, rigid rules of civilization and the wild, tempting pull of absolute freedom. Okay, so on one side, you've got the respectable life, right? This means stuffy, uncomfortable clothes for church, sitting through boring sermons, and just rules, rules, rules. And then you have Huckleberry Finn, the town outcast. He is the walking, talking embodiment of total freedom. The kid sleeps wherever he wants, answers to absolutely nobody, and goes fishing whenever he feels like it. And here's the real kicker. Even though the adults look down on him, Huck is secretly the most envied kid in the entire town. To all those other harassed, hampered, respectable boys like Tom, Huck is living the dream. He has everything that makes life precious, a freedom they can only fantasize about, a life with no alarm bells, no schedules, no chores, just freedom. But, this book isn't all about just breaking rules and chasing freedom. Twain takes a much deeper, much more serious turn. He takes us right inside a boy's conscience as it's starting to form, to a place where childhood games crash head-on into the deadly seriousness of the adult world. This all comes to a head during a spooky, late-night adventure in the town graveyard. Tom and Huck are there, hiding behind some tombstones, and they witness something horrific, a real, brutal murder. In an instant, their whole world of make-believe pirates and imaginary dangers is just shattered by something terrifyingly real. They are absolutely terrified, so they make this incredibly solemn pact. They write out an oath on a piece of wood, they sign it in their own blood, and they swear they will keep mum forever. This oath, I mean, it's just this symbol of the crushing weight of the secret they're carrying and their paralyzing fear of the killer, Injun Joe. But keeping quiet comes at a terrible price. An innocent guy, this kind old man named Muff Potter, gets framed for the murder, and he's going to hang for it. And Tom is just tormented by this. His conscience is at war with his fear. If he wants to save Muff Potter, he has to break that blood oath and put his own life on the line. The whole thing builds to this huge climax in the courtroom. Tom gets called to the witness stand. The entire town is there, holding its breath, as the lawyer asks him that one fateful question. This is it. This is the ultimate test for Tom. Is he going to stick to that childhood oath, the one made out of fear? Or is he going to step up, embrace a kind of adult morality, and tell the truth?
And when Tom finally musters up the courage to point his finger at Injun Joe and speak the truth, everything changes. In that one moment, he stops being just a mischievous kid playing games. He's no longer a pretend pirate or a make-believe robber. He has made a real, conscious, moral choice, one with literal life-and-death consequences. He's become a moral agent.
And that transformation, that leap from being a boy to being a moral agent, that is precisely why Twain ends the story where he does. It's not random. He had a very specific reason for cutting it off right after the boys find that treasure. He's super clear about it in his conclusion. He says, look, this is strictly a history of a boy, and it must stop here. Why? Because if it went any further, it would become the history of a man. And for Twain, that's a whole different story. Boyhood, in his world, has a hard stop.
So what exactly marks that hard stop? Well, it's the arrival of adult responsibilities. That treasure they find, it brings them a ton of money. Huck gets adopted and is suddenly forced to live by a schedule, wear clean clothes, go to school, a life that he calls just worry and sweat and sweat. Their perfect, idyllic freedom, it's gone. It's been replaced by the very same civilization they spent the whole book trying to escape.
And this brings us full circle, right back to Twain's message for adults at the very beginning. The story of the boy ends right where the story of the man begins. And it just leaves you with this huge question, doesn't it? What is it that we lose in that transition? What are those essential truths about what makes life fun, what makes it precious, what makes us do the right thing, that we kind of forget about or maybe trade away for the so-called world of adult responsibility?